The clothes on your back, the food you eat, the phone in your pocket, all from one place. China is on everyone's lips, except the candidates.
These are very complicated issues, and they can't be reduced to sound bites, and they're very controversial, so candidates try to avoid them.
Mitt Romney has this soundbite raising the ire of the Chinese.
Day one, I'm going to label China a currency manipulator.
China pegs its currency to the U.S. dollar, making Chinese goods even cheaper and U.S. goods more expensive. And where does President Obama stand?
President Obama doesn't want to talk about this issue because candidate Obama, starting in 2007, talked about China's currency manipulation and how the Bush administration hadn't done anything about it.
And what has this president done about it?
He's done nothing about it.
Well, they're manipulating their currency. There's no doubt about that.
John Huntsman is a Republican who was Obama's ambassador to China. He left that post to run for president himself.
You have to deal with the blowback. What are the Chinese likely to do in response?
American officials have a long list of complaints about China: intellectual property theft, human rights violations, subsidizing Chinese factories, making friends with nations hostile to the U.S., all the while lending us money so the U.S. can run huge deficits.
They don't say very much as candidates. If they do say something, they're going to be tough on China. They're going to be tigers. But when they become president, they become pussycats. And the reason is because they see China as a dominant nation.
Does the America we want borrow $1 trillion from China?
No company should have to look for workers overseas because they couldn't find any with the right skills here at home.
Both candidates have positioned themselves as taking a more assertive position towards China.
Mr. Obama touts success.
Well, we've brought trade cases against China at nearly twice the rate as the last administration.
Tariffs on Chinese-made tires. WTO complaints over Chinese tariffs on U.S. chickens and U.S.-made autos. And most recently, the administration, with the Europeans and Japan, complained to the WTO that China is restricting the sale of rare earth minerals. China controls 98% of this market, used to make technology for our missile defense systems, wind turbines, and your smartphone. Mitt Romney's 59-point plan calls for stiffer action against China. Quote, "We need to act more resolutely at the World Trade Organization to ensure we're getting the benefits of the bargains struck in our trade agreements." And you don't hear it on the stump much, but he blasts China for outright stealing American technology. Quote, "The United States does not have to accept forever the practices that have led to a huge and seemingly perpetual trade deficit with China." No question, China's rise led to cheap goods for U.S. consumers, but there was a cost. According to the left-leaning Economic Policy Institute, between 2001 and 2010, the swelling trade gap with China eliminated or displaced 2.8 million American jobs. China's fall could be equally dramatic.
China's economy is having trouble. I mean, eventually the annual growth of 10% a year is going to stop, and I think they're projecting about 7.5%.
What you're not hearing on the campaign trail will be the first item on the president's desk.
You've got to then take charge once you're elected, and you've got to figure out how to make the relationship work. In the old days, it was less difficult because China was just another one of our relationships out there. Today, it is the relationship.
Christine Romans, CNN, New York.